Hi there, I'm Alice and I work in the apprenticeship team at Gateshead College. In my job role, I help young people find apprenticeships and I help employers find apprentices. So this means I spend a lot of my day looking at applications that come in for our apprenticeships. So today I will be showing you the do's and don'ts of applying to an apprenticeship. The majority of apprenticeship applications will be done through the National Apprenticeship website. So the template I'm showing you today is based off that, but the tips that we show you can be used and applied to any applications you want to submit. So firstly, what we'll do is we'll have a little look at the don'ts in an application. So these are some examples of stuff not to do in an application. So you can see on my screen now, we've got an application for a role which is with a sports fashion company, and the role is a manufacturing role. So off the bat straight away, I can see that the candidate hasn't capitalised their name or any of the places in their address. So it might seem a small detail, but it is really kind of the first impressions that we get of you as a candidate. So make sure that that's all correct. And then looking at their email, which is meanboy@gmail.com. Obviously, that's an inappropriate email. You might have originally set up emails like that, but make sure you set up another one which is a bit more professional that can be used for kind of job applications, because you've got to remember that not only are we seeing it, but the employers are going to see that as well, and that's going to create a bad first impression. So then we will move on to the first lot of questions and answers. So what are your main strengths? So this candidate has put quite a brief answer and they haven't put full stops in between or used full sentences. So what we would be looking for is, with this first section here, I'm good at working as part of a team, and then we'd want you to expand on that. So I'm good at working as part of a team, which can be seen in the many years that I have been a part of and captained my school's football team. So we just want a bit more kind of expanded and full sentences there. And then for the next answer, I would like to improve all of my skills and experience in this apprenticeship to become a good joiner. There's a couple of things that kind of stand out to me in that. The first one are the spelling mistakes in experience and apprenticeship. Now you can see they've been flagged up here, and that's because we've popped the application into a Word document. They might not necessarily be flagged up when you're filling out the application online, so make sure to copy and paste all of your answers into a Word document beforehand, and it might even be a good idea to get someone to read through it before you submit it, just to check there's no spelling errors in that. And then the second part of that answer, to become a good joiner. Well, we've already established this role is a manufacturing role with a sports fashion company. So clearly this candidate has previously applied for a joinery apprenticeship and forgotten to change that answer. So make sure that all your answers are relevant to the role that you're currently applying for. And again, in the hobbies and interest answer, there's just a couple more spelling mistakes which could have been avoided by just checking through your application before submitting it. So we'll move on to the education section now. So this candidate's put their GCSE qualifications in. Now, firstly, this manufacturing role is asking for a pass, so a C or a 4 at GCSE in maths and English, and that's in the job description requirements. So we can see firstly that this candidate doesn't meet those requirements, so it's important to check that you do meet all of the requirements of job description before applying. Now, if they did meet the requirements, there's still a couple of other things that I would have advised they do within this section. So firstly, we can see here that English, the subject, isn't capitalised, so it should need a capital E at the start of that. And the date next to maths is missing. Now, we need to know if this is because this is a predicted grade, if they're resitting it, or if you have already sat it, we do need the date in that you achieved that, just so we have all of the correct and up-to-date details for you. So next we'll move on to the work experience section. Now this section has been left blank, and this might be because the candidate doesn't feel they have any relevant work experience, but it is important to pop down any work experience you have there that you can potentially link transferable skills from. So for instance, if you're applying for a business admin role, you might not have direct business admin experience in an office or on reception, but you might have helped out at a parents' evening at school, and as part of that role, you might have helped sign parents in and provide and make up visitor badges for them, which is definitely transferable to some of the skills you would need working on reception as part of a business admin role. So make sure to pop any of those work experiences down and see if there's anything duties-wise or responsibilities-wise that are transferable to the role you're applying for. And lastly, we'll look at these last few questions. So this is where we ask you what you know about the company and why it is you'd like to work there. So this candidate's obviously put a very brief answer in place, but what I would say is that in the majority of job descriptions, they will put the company website in. So you can go onto the company website, spend 5 minutes or so just finding out a little bit about the company does, and pop that down there in your own words. And then also obviously answer the second part of the question with why you want to join that team. And then with the section of what skills can you bring to the role, they've just popped communication down and they spelt it wrong, which could have been avoided if they just double checked it. But again, as I mentioned with the first answer, pop communication down, but say why you can bring that to the role. Why have you got good communication skills? When have you demonstrated those? So that's a summary of kind of some of the don'ts in the applications. What we'll do now is we'll have a little look at some of the do's, so some of the stuff that I recommend popping in your applications. So it should hopefully pop up on screen. There we go. So again, this is for the same company, this application that we've made up. So for USA Sports, which is a sports fashion company, and this role is a customer service role. So again, the first things we're looking at is the names and addresses, and you can see here the candidate has capitalised their name and they've capitalised the various bits of their addresses as well, which is great. They also have an email which reflects their name and is a lot more professional and gives off a professional first opinion. So we'll move on to the first answer. So what are your main strengths? And they've done exactly what I mentioned the first candidate didn't do. They believe they have extremely good communication skills. So they've mentioned the communication skills and they've gone on to say why this is. So they've given presentations in front of large audiences and they've also talked in front of groups as a classroom. They've then gone on to say that as a sixth form ambassador, they've involved in open evenings when they've spoken to parents and prospective students. So what they've shown me there, they've said they have communication skills and they've then demonstrated a few examples of when that is. So when they've done talks and when they've spoken to parents and students, so a variety of different audiences that they've spoken to. And again, they've moved on to demonstrate that with a few other different skills as well. What I think they'll have done here as well, which is great, is they'll have had a look at the job description, looked at the skills that they're asking for, and then gone back and linked that into their application. And for the next question, what skills would you like to improve on during this apprenticeship? So again, they've expanded a lot more and they've made sure that it's relevant to the customer service apprenticeship, unlike the original one where they'd pop joiner in when they should have been for a manufacturing role. And you'll notice in this first section as well, there's no spelling mistakes and all the grammar's correct as well. So they've obviously, run it through a spell checker, had a little double check. Maybe they've had a parent or a friend look through it as well, or a teacher, just to check that everything's correct there. And then again, we'll move back on to the qualification section. So here you can see that all of the subjects are capitalised. We've got the year that the qualification was achieved and all of the grades in there. And they've checked, obviously, again, for this role, they're looking for a pass or a 4 or a C in maths and English. So they've put those in, but they've also put the other subjects they've sat in as well. And it is quite nice to see kind of the variety of subjects that you've sat, especially if you've got a qualification like the business here. When you're applying for a customer service role, it's good to see that you've got those relevant qualifications as well. So again, if you had something like an IT qualification, it'd be great to pop that in, especially for a customer service based role. And then here, an example of the work experience. This is an example of what I was saying before. So this role is a customer service role based within an office environment. Now, whilst they don't have that experience, they have popped down that they've been waiting staff at St. James's Park, serving customers, serving drinks and food to customers, clearing the tables and keeping kind of cleaning up to a high standard. So whilst this isn't, completely relevant experience, what can be kind of seen from that is they'll have those transferable skills from hospitality. So, they've spoken to customers, they've got good customer service, and they can kind of keep their work up to a high standard as well. And that's something they can expand on further in an interview with myself or the employer. They've still left the training courses section blank. Obviously, if you haven't been on any training courses, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to pop those in. But, if you were applying for so like a caring apprenticeship in the care sector and you've done a first aid course, it'd be great to pop that in on the training courses section. And then again, we'll move on to the last few questions. So what do you know about the company and why do you want to join the team? So here, what they've done is they've obviously gone onto the USA Sports website. They've kind of taken 3 separate sentences from throughout the website, put them in their own words about what the company does, and then they've gone on to say why they'd like to join the team. So they said, I would love to join the team as I see this opportunity as a way of contributing to an exciting, fast-moving company, and I would learn a lot for working for them. So I can see there why it is they want to join, so why they're applying for the role as well, which is great because we want to see kind of a passion and an excitement about the role you're applying for. And then with the skills they can bring to the role, they've given me full sentences and they've expanded on those answers as well. So they might, again, have taken some of this from the job description. So I'm proficient in using Microsoft packages, email, internet, and have experience using social media platforms. I'd be flexible in my approach to working hours and availability for events at all times. Now, in the job description for this role, it says that they would require some flexibility for working potentially evenings and weekends. So what they've done there is they've taken that and they've said that that's one of the skills they can bring to the roles. They're matching up those things. So that's the end of that application. So they have been the do's and don'ts when applying to apprenticeships, and I hope you found that useful. Remember, if you are interested in applying for any of our kind of apprenticeship vacancies, or applying for an apprenticeship, you can find all of the latest ones on our website. So just Gateshead College website and then the apprenticeship section here. And that's where we keep all of our latest vacancies. So if you are interested in finding an apprenticeship, that's where you would find those. And that's it from me. So thank you and goodbye.